My name is Tim Erickson, and today's video is about changing your hero image. So let's jump right into it. I have a backdrop site here, and we are going to replace the hero image. And this default image that comes with backdrop, this is the image that comes with backdrop. We'd like to replace that. For those who haven't heard the term before, hero image is often referred to that large image at the top of a web page that usually it sort of scans the whole width of the page. And if you are not aware, we can oftentimes in backdrop use these contextual menus, these little gear items that pop up. I am not going to do that today. I'm going to go through the menu just to make sure that it's a little clearer where we go. What we want to do is go to the layout. This particular hero image that we were looking at only shows up on the home page. So I'm looking for the home page layout. I go to Manage Blocks on the home page layout. And what we are looking for here, if we read the block titles, it's not obvious from the title here, but if we read the description of the block, it says a hero block often consists of text over a background image, although either are optional. So what we're going to do is configure that hero block. And I'm going to actually do something here, which is change the administration label to hero block, just to make it a little bit more clear for my purposes in the future. So now, I want to go back. So I saved that change. I changed the admin label, but I want to go back. The main purpose we came here was to change the image. The default image doesn't show up here. It's just in the theme. But if we want to replace that sort of blue cloudy image, we just hit Browse. And I'm going to start with this image. I found a free image on the internet, a WikiCommons image of a farmer's market. And this is the raw image that I downloaded. And I just want to illustrate a couple of things with that. We're going to just save this, go back, look at our front page. And we are, of course, still using the basis theme for this demonstration. And I spot a couple of things right away. First of all, this text, the way the text is laid out by default is not going to work. And for the purposes of this video, we're just going to remove that. The other thing is, though, that the image, it crops kind of weird. It just takes the top of the image. This is actually an almost square image. It's a vertical horizontal or a horizontal photo, but it's pretty high, and we're just getting the top parts of it. That's not really useful. I can see if I inspect, this is a developer tool that you might not have available in your browser, but what I want to do is just close my window, and we can see it's not a bad image if you get the whole thing, but by default here, backdrop is only showing us a part of it, and not the helpful part. So we're going to need to make a change. Let's go back. This time let's take the shortcut. We can go to that little contextual menu and say configure this block. There it comes. Just had to wait a minute. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this text. The text in the title is what's displaying over the block, and we can just delete that. We have to have either an image or some text, but we can't. We don't need both. So, and now I'm going to remove that image. And what I did was I already went ahead and cropped that same image into, we can see it here, a little bit more of a vertical, cropped off the top and the bottom. Although I noticed that the way this expands is it shows as you narrow the image and it shows more of the image, it shows from the bottom, and the top always stays fixed. So I tried to crop this in a way where the most important part of the image, I think the people sort of interacting with each other, is at the top. And then as the image gets bigger, it shows more. We'll see that in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and hit open, update this block. And we always, whenever we make changes to a block, we also have to save that layout before we can go check it out. This takes us back. So this is much better, but this image is not really intended to be cut that narrow, right? So maybe we want, plus a good hero image is probably normally going to be higher than that. So I'd like to see more of that. Now we can't do that with our choices for doing that would either be to change the theme. We could show more of this block using the theme, Or we can use, well, one option would be the configurable block style module. This is not part of core. I went ahead and downloaded it before and enabled it prior to the start of this video. I guess we'll look really quick. If we list modules and we search for config, there it is. Oop, it's a good thing we looked, because in fact it's not enabled. So I need to just enable it. Scroll down to the bottom, hit save. Okay, now that we've enabled that module, we can go back home. I'm going to, this time, just to reinforce both options, go to the block through the menu, and then see there's the new name of our block, the hero block. We changed the admin name. And I'm going to go in here and go down to the style setting on the block. Now, the configurable block, prior to adding this module, we had the default and dynamic as our two options. The configurable block style adds this set of options. If we click on that, a bunch of other things appear. And I have another video which you can look for specifically about this module that will talk about all the details. For the purposes of this module, we're going to jump right to the height. And we could set a fixed height, so we could set this to be a certain height always. We can set a responsive height, which is going to change depending on the width of the screen. This is what we're going to do. We'll see that in a minute. And the fixed background or fit background image means that that block's going to get as big as your image is. So it's going to show the entire image all the time. And the size of the hero block will depend on the image. I don't really want to do that for a couple of reasons, but let's just go with, you can experiment with that. Let's go with the responsive height. And basically what the responsive height does is gives us a couple of variables. And basically a minimum height, which is the smallest that block will ever be, and the maximum height. And then it gives us a relative height in between. And the VW means vertical width. And basically 40 means that it's going to stay about 40% of the vertical width of the screen, whatever screen the user is using, but within 250 or 500 pixels. So I happen to have been involved in setting these defaults, so I know I like them. So I'm going to just keep them. And I'm going to hit update block, go back to the home page, and we saved our content. We're back on the home page, and there we go. That's a much more sort of attractive view. Now, it would be common to have some text over this, and that is something we will come back to at a later time. I'm going to do one more thing, though, in this video, which is just go back to the inspector so that I can scroll this, and so you can see how this behaves. You'll see that the image is actually displaying more as it gets narrower until it starts so up until that point, it's basically staying at our maximum height. And when it gets to about here, then it starts to get smaller. And it will get smaller until it reaches a minimum height, which is right about there. And then it stays at that height. And now you can see it's cropping from the left, I think. Let's try refreshing and see. So that's a little bit weird. I'd rather it not do that. But really, to solve that problem, to solve the problem of the how it's cropping here, I would either need a different theme. Again, we're using basis, or I would need to sort of override that behavior in a custom or a sub-theme of basis, which we will talk about in another time. Okay? So for now, though, this is much better. Certainly on a desktop and a lot of devices in between, I think it's much better. I do have some concerns on mobile, although it's not awful. So that's good enough for now, and we're going to leave this video there. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.